Interestingly, we added the name Waireti to the toddler space.
Welcome to Fika's Focus. Voices leading change.
Have you ever wondered what the meanings of the names are for our rooms? When Courtney and I created Future Focus, we wanted to make sure that every move we took actually had some intention and meaning behind it. And in that space, we didn't want to just add in Māori names into our room names as a tokenistic approach to building that out, like names of birds or maunga or something that didn't really tie into who we were as people. So my wife Courtney asked my mum if we could carry some whānau names, and so she gave us some names which we all agreed on that we thought were quite appropriate. And what's interesting to it is that we applied them into the room names, into the room spaces. And as we thought through it, we actually realised that the names are very, very appropriate. So our Pepe space, our infant space, is named after my Auntie Kitty. My Auntie Kitty was a very beautiful woman. One of my mum's older sisters. My Auntie Kitty did not have children. She was married to my Uncle Bob, and she was another mum for my brother, sister, and I, and many of my cousins. She was the most beautiful, caring soul, and she always spoiled us, and she always, I know it sounds silly, but she would always buy us yogurt, which is one thing, or Fox and Fizz. I remember her buying those drinks, and they used to come in crates and be dropped off at her home, and she would just always spoil us in ways that we weren't spoiled by our own parents. But she was also a very, very loving and patient individual, and we feel like the name Kiri Kahurangi for the Pepe space, for our infant space, was appropriate because of her caring nature and her absolute maternal instincts that she carried for not only myself and my siblings, but also many of my cousins. I've got this photo here, which is of my koro Haki Thompson, out of Ngātira, and my nan. And my nan here it's a good photo. So her Pākehā name was Violet Marsh, but her Māori name was Waireti, and she actually whakapapas back to Te Pona. We didn't know that growing up. I unfortunately didn't get to meet my nan. She actually passed away the year before I was born, but she was, by all accounts, a very, very beautiful lady, and a very caring soul as well. My koroa Haki actually lived for a long time, and it was very clear that his marriage and relationship to my nan was actually very instrumental in who he was as an individual. My nan was a bit of a rebel. Kind of rebelled about some things, and even took off from the church group and things like that in that space. And interestingly, we added the name Waireti to the toddler space, which is quite fitting because my nan she went through windows of actually being an individual that was, really pushing the boundaries, but also becoming very aware of who she was as an individual. And when we think about our toddler space, when we think about our Waireti spaces, that actually is really, really appropriate for the name that we've given that space. We, in Terrace Views and Will Be for West June, we actually have another room which we call Te Huihuinga. So Te Huihuinga is actually my mum. Her Pākehā name is Grace. But Te Huihuinga was given to that space that we have, and which is going to be in a over ones, under twos space. So we do have that at Terrace Views, Te Hui. But yes, it will be implemented in. I don't have a photo of my mum because my mum's still alive and she'd probably kill me if she found out I was putting that stuff on social media and podcasting. So I've got that. And then, yeah, the last name, Ngāhi Raka. Ngāhi Raka was my nan's nan. Again, Whakapapa back into Te Puna, who she was married to, obviously the karaua of my nan, and she, yeah, by all accounts, the stories that we hear from that I'm very lucky. My karaua actually wrote out lots of stories about our ancestors and our tupuna in that space, and a lot of the stories were she was a very staunch Māori lady, very aware of who she was as an individual, had grown into that space of Māoridom in the time where Māoridom and Te Ao Pākehā, Te Ao Māori were really coinciding in that space and growing to be into what is Aotearoa today. And we feel like that's a really fitting spot because as they go into that preschool space, they start to really know and understand who they are as individuals. Their personality is really ingrained into exactly who they are and who they will turn out to be. And we're really proud of the name Ngāhi Raka being part of the preschool space for Future Focus. So, yeah, that's the bit of the whakapapa of the stories of the rooms and the room names, and the reason why all our Future Focus centres carry the names Kirikahurangi, Te Huihuinga, Waireti and Ngāhi Raka.